Hello, grade 7s. So today we're going to do section 3.3, subtracting fractions. Okay, so write down today's title, and when you're ready, we'll move on. Okay, so quick little review. When we're adding fractions, we have to check and make sure we have a common denominator. And once we have a common denominator, we can add our numerators. Okay, so no need to write this down, just follow along. Okay, so here we have 2 over 9 plus 1 over 9. 9 is common on the bottom, so we're good to add. Our rules for adding fractions says that we add our numerators, or add our top, so 2 plus 1 is 3. And we keep our denominator, so we keep our 9 on the bottom. And in the last step, we always check and see if we can simplify. So 3 over 9, can that be simplified to anything? So I'm just going to come down here, and we're going to check for a common factor. And you don't need to do this if you're good at simplifying. If not, if you're having trouble with simplifying, just follow along. So 3, our factors are 1 times 3. And 9, our factors are 1 times 9. And 3 times 3. So we see here that our common factors are, we have a 1 here and a 1 here, and a 3 here and a 3 here. So our greatest common factor is 3. So we divide our top by 3 and divide our bottom by 3. And then that will simplify this fraction and give us 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 9 divided by 3 is 3. So this is our simplified fraction and our final answer. Okay, so now, time to write this down. There's a quick little note here, followed by an example. So pause, write down the note, and then we'll try this example together. Okay, by now you should have this written down. So if the note says when you subtract fractions, you follow the same steps as you did when you added fractions, except we take away the numerator. So today's lesson is pretty much just a follow-up from adding fractions. The only thing is you subtract here on the top. So like this, 8 over 9, subtract 2 over 9. Your first step is that you check and see if we have common factors, which we do. So we take away our top from our top, so 8 minus 2 is 6. And we keep our denominator. We always check and see if we can simplify. So 6, this can be divided by 3. And 9 can also be divided by 3. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. And 9 divided by 3 is 3. So this is our simplified fraction and our final answer. Make sure you write that down. When we're ready, we'll move on. Okay, so now I want you to pause the video, give this one a try, and then we'll quickly correct it. Okay, by now you should have this one done. So top minus top, 8 minus 1 is 7. We keep our common denominator, 7 over 7. Remember our little trick, anything over itself. So 7 over 7 is 1. That's our simplified final answer. Okay, what about this? And again, we saw this when we were adding fractions. We have different denominators. Can we make the denominators the same? Well, if you look here, we have 10 and 5. We can easily make 5 into 10. All we got to do is multiply it by 2. But our golden rule, whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. So this now becomes 7 over 10 minus 1 times 2 is 2, and 5 times 2 is 10. So now we have common denominator. Okay, so now I want you to write these examples down as we do them together. So get your pencil ready. Start off this problem first, and we'll try. Okay, so 5 over 6 minus 1 over 3. So, first step, check and see if we have a common denominator. We do not, so we need to make a common denominator here. And we can easily do that if we take our 3 and multiply our 3 by 2. But whatever we do to the bottom, we need to do to the top. So we have 5 over 6, subtract, 1 times 2 is 2, 3 times 2 is 6. We now have a common denominator, so we're good to subtract. 5, top minus top, 5 minus 2 is 3. And we keep our denominator. What's our final step? To see if we can simplify. Can we divide 3 and 6 by the same number? Well, yes, 3 can be divided by 3. And 6 can also be divided by 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So this is our final answer. Okay, make sure you understand that one and you have that written down in your notes. And when you're ready, we'll try this one. Okay, 2 over 3, subtract 1 over 12. First step, common denominator? No. So we have to adjust one of our fractions. If I was to look at this one, 3 and 12, we can easily make 3 into 12 by multiplying it by 4. But whatever we do to the bottom, we need to do to the top. So now what's our new fraction? 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 4 is 12. Subtract 1 over 12. We have a common denominator, so we're ready to subtract. 8 minus 1 is 7. And we keep our denominator. Check and see if it can be simplified. And no, it can't, because 12 could be 2 times 6. Okay, I'm just actually going to write it out to show you. 7 is 1 times 7, but nothing else. 12, its factors are 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. So we don't have anything common here besides 1, but dividing by 1 would just give 7 over 12. So we don't have any common factors here, so this will be our final simplified answer. And that's why I said this can't be simplified, because there's no common factors between 7 and 12. Okay, when you're ready, I have 2 examples for you to try on your own. Okay, so pause the video, give this a try. And when you're ready, come on back and we're going to quickly go over the answer. Okay, by now you should have tried 2 of these. I'm going to quickly go through them. So here, common denominator, we have to multiply 7 by 2 to get 14. But we also have to multiply our numerator by that. We have 9 over 14. Subtract. 2 times 2 is 4. 7 times 2 is 14, what we want it. Common denominator, we're ready. 9 minus 4 is 5. Keep our denominator of 14. And if you check, there's no common factors between 5, our numerator, and 14, our denominator, so this is our final answer. Over here, 6 and 18. Not common denominator, but that's okay because we can multiply 6 by 3 to get 18. We can multiply 5 by 3 because that's what we've done on the bottom. So 5 by 3 is 15. 6 by 3 is 18. Subtract 7 over 18. We're ready because we have common denominator. 15 minus 7 is 8. Keep our denominator of 18. Okay, we can divide both the top and bottom by 2. That's our common factor. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And 18 divided by 2 on the bottom is 9. So that's our simplified final answer. Okay, I hope you got the 2 of these correct. If not, if you had a lot of trouble with these, please let me know and I'll sit down and go over a couple more examples. But if you're ready, let's move on. Okay, so no need to write this down. What about this? 5 over 7 minus 1 over 5. We can't make the denominators the same like before. Okay, we can't just multiply 5 by something to make it 7. Okay, so we need to use a new strategy. So we need to find the common denominator. So we've done this with adding, but it's a bit of a long problem. We have to use multiples to find our least common denominator, or least common multiple. Okay, so I want you to write this down. No need to write down the color here, the steps. That's just to help you. Okay, you can write it down if you want. Just pause the video and write it down. But you have to write down what I'm writing, the black that I'm going to write down. Okay, so find the common denominator. Okay, so our first step is to list the multiples of 5 and 7. So we have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and 40, and so on. Okay, I might need more, but hopefully not. Let's see. And then we have multiples of 7. 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times 2 is 14. 7 times 3 is 21. 28. 35. 7 times 5. And 42. And so on. So I see we're checking for common multiples now. We don't have 10 here. We don't have 15. We don't have 20. We don't have 25. We don't have 30. Okay, but we have 35 in both. So I'm just going to put a circle around those 35. So that's our common multiple. So that's going to be our denominator. So now we have to rewrite these fractions with 35 on the bottom. To start with our first fraction. We want 35 on the bottom. So 7 times what gives me 35? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 7 times 5. Okay, that's good. But remember the golden rule, whatever we do to the bottom, we need to do to the top. So this fraction now becomes 5 times 5, 25. Okay, and that's over 7 times 5 is 35, which is what we wanted. So we've changed that fraction. We've rewritten it with the common denominator that we wanted. Good. Bring down our subtraction sign, our takeaway sign. And then we have 1 over 5. Now we want to rewrite that. We want this to be 35 on the bottom. So 5 times what gives you 35? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 5 times 7. Now, whatever we do to the bottom of this fraction, we need to do to the top. 1 times 7 is 7. And 5 times 7 is 35, which is what we wanted on the bottom. You can put an equal sign there in front. Alright, we have a common denominator, so we are good to subtract our top. So 25 minus 7 is 18. And you can use a calculator for that if you need to. And then we keep our denominator of 35. And then we check and see if this can be simplified. And in this case, it cannot. This is as small as this fraction can go. So that's our final answer. Okay, now I want you to try. And when we come back, we'll quickly go through that one and see how you did. Okay, by now you should have this one attempted. Okay, so 5 over 6 minus 1 over 4. We look here, we don't have a common denominator, so we need to find one. We can't change 4 to easily become 6. So we need to use our multiple strategy. We need to list our multiples and find the least common multiple, or the common denominator. So 4, I'm going to write it down this way. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. 16, 20, 24, 28, and so on. 6 times 1 is 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, and so on. So we see that we have a common denominator here of 12. We also have 24, but I'm going to use 12 because that's a smaller number. Okay, so let's rewrite our fractions with that common denominator so that we can work with them. So 6 times what gives you 12? 6 times 2. Okay, and we need to do that to the top. So this fraction can now be rewritten as 5 times 2 is 10 over 6 times 2 is 12. Okay, so that one's rewritten. Bring down our takeaway or our subtraction sign. Minus 1 over 4. 4 times what gives you 12? 4 times 3. And we have to do that to the top. So this now becomes 1 times 3 is 3. 4 times 3 is 12. Common denominator, so we're good to subtract our tops. 10 minus 3 is 7. And we keep our 12 on the bottom. Can this be simplified? No, it cannot. So that is our final answer. Okay, and last one for today. Can you try this one by yourself without the steps in front of you? So when you come back, we'll give that one a try. Alright, so for this one, 6 and 11 on the bottom, they're not common denominators, so we need to use our multiples. So quickly, 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 3 is 18. 18, 6 times 4 is 24. 30, 36, 42, 48, 48, and then 54, 60, 66, and 72. Okay, so we went up pretty high there. And 11, we had 11 times 1, 11 times 2, 11 times 3, 4, 11 times 5, 11 times 6, and so on. So what's our common factor there? If I check, 6 is not there, 12 is not there, 18, 24 is not there, 30 is not there, 36 is not common, 42 is not common, 48 is not common, 54 is not common, 60 is not, but 66 is. So we got 66 here and 66 here. So that's our common factor. So we want 66 on the bottom. Okay, 66. So we want to rewrite this as 66. So that's 11 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we need to make our top also multiply by 6. So 8 times 6 is 48. Bring down our subtraction sign. We want this to be 66 on the bottom, so you're multiplying 6 by 11. Multiplying our top by 11 as well. So that's 1 times 11 is 11, and 6 times 11 is 66. We're good to subtract. So 48 minus 11. Don't be afraid to use your calculator if you need to. 48 subtract 11. 37. 37. And we keep our denominator, 66. That one's a bit harder. We're working with a little bit more difficult numbers, and it was a little bit harder to find our common denominator. But trust your steps. Just keep using the same steps, and you should avoid little mistakes if you follow through the same way every time. So 37 over 66, that actually can't be simplified, so that is our final answer. Okay, if you have a lot of trouble with this one, please let me know so I'll work with you and try to straighten out those the troubles you're having. And then when you're ready, you can come get a worksheet from me, and that's your practice work with this lesson. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson, guys, and good luck with your practice work.